4 early teasers for Avengers Doomsday are out. Some people love them, but others are underwhelmed. So we have to wonder, did this big swing turn out to be a massive miss? Just after the release of the first teaser, the one revealing that Chris Evans would return as Steve Rogers, fans already were expressing skepticism and lukewarm feelings. In a thread on the Marvel Studios subreddit, a longtime fan of the MCU who said they're rooting for Doomsday to be a big hit wrote, "I was hoping to feel excited, not just aware that the movie exists." Others down the thread called the rollout anticlimactic, and the teasers left them with zero expectations. Probably not the reactions Marvel was hoping for. In an article on comicbook.com, writer David Harth argued the teasers reminded him the lackluster builds to some disappointing comic book events, writing, "Marvel Studios isn't selling its fans a great story that is a culmination of years of storytelling. They're selling the movie with who's going to be in it."
Then, Yancey Street, between Broome and Grand.
We can imagine how Marvel would react to all this. They'd probably say that since people are talking about the trailers, it's a win. And of course, not all the talk is negative. Eagle-eyed fans are combing through the teasers for hidden plot clues and posting what they find. Lots of posters on various social media sites are also simply having fun with the "blank will return in Avengers Doomsday" meme. And then there are the view counts. On January 16th, The Hollywood Reporter characterized the trailer rollout as a massive success, citing insider sources who said that the 4 teasers had amassed a grand total of over 1 billion views. THR notes, according to insiders, the social volume for each teaser was on average 188% greater than for a typical Marvel drop. And the combined 4 teasers now top the highest views for Marvel trailer launches on Instagram, 505 million, and TikTok, 103 million views. It's hard to argue with the power of 1 billion views over the course of less than a month, but we do have to throw just a bit of cold water on THR's exuberance. On YouTube, where it's easiest to verify view count, the most watched of the 4 teasers is the Steve Rogers one. As of the making of this video, it's at just about 18.5 million views. Not too shabby, but compare that to the view count for the first Avengers Endgame trailer, which stands at 111 million views, or the second, which has 165 million views. The first Infinity War trailer, 269 million views. That's a lot of ground to cover to catch up.
I don't know what I'm gonna do if it doesn't.
Of course, this is not a totally fair comparison. The Steve Rogers teaser has only been up for a month, while those other trailers have been on YouTube for 7 years or longer. Though you'd have to imagine most of the views of the previous trailers came within the first few weeks of being released. There's probably also something to be said about how people have different habits now than in 2018 and 2019. Maybe they're more likely to see a trailer on TikTok or Instagram than YouTube. Plus, there was a whole theaters-only approach to the Doomsday teaser rollout for a while. Before the Doomsday teasers were even officially announced, multiple outlets were reporting on the outside-the-box strategy for them. At the time, the prevailing thought was that Marvel simply had no plans to put them anywhere online. They would only be shown in theaters ahead of Avatar, Fire and Ash. We obviously know different now. Fire and Ash opened on December 19th, 2025, and the Steve Rogers teaser was on Marvel's YouTube channel by the 23rd. Then a new one hit every week after that. Problem is, lots of people knew what was in the teasers well before having to buy a ticket to the latest Avatar extravaganza. For one thing, lots of rumor mongers, entertainment websites, and legit news outlets were posting about what was in the teasers weeks ahead of their release. Not all the rumors were correct. A lot of people incorrectly believed the third one would feature Dr. Doom, but they all got the Steve Rogers news out there.
I am Steve Rogers.
And then there were tons of leaked videos of bootlegs of the teasers from inside theaters. Disney did everything it could to whack-a-mole them away, but they kept popping up on Reddit and X. It could be argued that the leaks were both negative and positive. On the one hand, people were seeing the teasers in terrible quality, outside Disney's control. Slashfilm described it as a poor way to make a first impression. On the other, though, the leaks indicate a degree of fan enthusiasm. You could probably argue that Disney even expected and anticipated them. What may have taken Disney more by surprise was the influx of AI-generated versions of the teasers, particularly on YouTube. Disney is definitely aware of these AI tools. They just signed a massive deal with OpenAI to allow users to include Disney characters in their creations on the Sora video generator. And fan-made AI-generated trailers are also not really anything new, but the Doomsday trailer rollout has definitely created a new wrinkle. previous AI trailers have usually tried to imagine alternate versions of movies that don't really exist. Yet a whole bunch of the AI versions of the Doomsday teasers attempted to recreate what happened in the real teasers almost exactly.
It's a fake.
For instance, one created by the YouTube channel Timery has all the hallmarks of the real Steve Rogers teaser, just with a few additions, like some shots of Peggy Carter added in. This nearly the real thing AI versions of the teasers have really fooled people who are not terminally online, despite the creators labeling them as AI creations. /Films Quinn Belodo writes, "I can't tell you how many family members have sent me links of AI-generated YouTube clips thinking they're real. It doesn't really seem like Disney has made that much of an effort to take the AI versions of the teasers down. Again, you could argue that their existence is some kind of indicator of fan excitement, but at the same time, you risk confusing the marketplace by letting these just off-model versions of the real thing hang around." Like we mentioned, the only way to get a clear 4K, non-shaky, and actually audible version of the teasers was to buy a ticket for Avatar, Fire, and Ash, at least for a few days. It seemed clear that the plan was to not only drum up hype for Doomsday, but also boost the box office of the third Avatar movie. So we had to wonder, did it work?
We pulled out every stop to make this the kind of experience you want to see in a movie theater. And if people don't show up in movie theaters, then I'm not going to be as hopeful.
As of the making of this video, after about 4.5 weeks of release, Fire and Ash has made around $368 million domestically and about $955 million internationally for a total box office of just over $1.3 billion. That sounds pretty good, but how does that compare to the previous movie, 2022's The Way of Water? Its domestic box office after 32 days of release was more than $571 million. The international numbers were better too. The Way of Water had already well over $1 billion in receipts in overseas markets by then. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like the promise of Doomsday teasers juiced up the third Avatar movie. Maybe it would have done way worse without them, it's impossible to know for sure. But Fire and Ash is clearly underperforming its predecessor. As we noted earlier, the 4 Doomsday teasers so far offer very little, at least directly, in regards to plot. They're far more about who than what or why. Steve Rogers has a baby and his Captain America suit boxed away. Thor's praying before a battle and wants to protect his adopted daughter. Professor X and Magneto are playing chess and thinking about the inevitability of death.
The question is, who will you be when you close your eyes?
Also, Cyclops is there, and then Shuri and King M'Baku meet the Thing in a desert. That's more or less all there is to him. Fans who are already plugged into the MCU just weren't all that jazzed about only getting more meager teasers about characters. One wrote on Reddit, "I really don't care about what heroes are returning. I already know about those guys. All I want to see is how they are doing Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom, and whatever the actual premise of the movie could be." A counterpoint quite a few other fans have made though is that the release of Avengers Doomsday is still quite a long way away. Avatar Fire and Ash was released a full 364 days before Doomsday's December 18th, 2026 release date. There's a lot of time left for Marvel to get fans excited about the movie.
Please be patient.
That long wait is even a key component of Marvel's marketing so far. All 4 of the teasers have ended with a countdown clock ticking down to the release of Doomsday. And Marvel has an ongoing Doomsday clock playing in a continuous live broadcast on its YouTube channel. Comics fans will recognize it being similar to the Time Runs Out banners that adorned various Marvel books in the lead-up to the 2015 Secret Wars series. But could the long build-up to Doomsday be a mistake? There's definitely a risk of burning fans out before the movie is even released. The first trailer for Avengers Infinity War came out only around 5 months before the movie did, and it's possible that all this preliminary Doomsday hype could detract from Marvel's other releases in 2026, namely Spider-Man Brand New Day and a handful of Disney Plus shows. Ultimately, it's impossible to know if the galaxy-brained teaser rollout for Doomsday was a success or not, until Doomsday comes out. If the movie turns out to be Marvel's biggest success since Endgame, then all of this hand-wringing and second-guessing will have been for nothing. If Doomsday ends up underperforming, then we can absolutely use 2020 hindsight to pinpoint where Marvel fumbled the ball in the first quarter. Undoubtedly, the teasers have people talking for both good and bad. It's really going to depend on how Marvel follows up and capitalizes on that attention that will determine whether this unusual marketing strategy is something people remember as a stroke of genius or it becomes a cautionary tale.